Welcome back, guys. Another episode of the Hawk Vision podcast. I am your host, Chuck Hawkins, here to help you shorten the learning curve on your way to greatness. Make sure you like, share, subscribe across all your social media platforms, especially here at YouTube. More importantly, share this podcast with other visionaries just like you. I've said it time and time again. Second season, guys, you already know the lineup of guests is just getting bigger and stronger and badder and faster. The information that you'll be able to hear and learn from can absolutely change your life. That being said, guys, this week's visionary is a habitual toe stepper in the nicest way possible. I've been following her online for a minute and have gotten so many messages and DMs saying we had to have her on. And so now that's happening. What I love most is her passion for helping women boss up and hustle, her commitment for being extremely transparent. And I mean, it's unmatched, really. It's absolutely unmatched. You have absolutely no doubt that you'll be seeing her in Forbes soon. She personifies growth, makes imbalance look easy, and is motivating women all over the country to win. She's the founder of RBG Royalty. Michelle Matthews, better known as Coach Mimi J. Welcome to the show.
What's up, Chuck? Thanks for having me. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so glad we were able to finally get this one together on the books, man. I'm excited about this conversation.
Yeah, me too. Me too. You know, when obstacles occur, that just means it's about to be fire.
Right. That's all we have nowadays is obstacles, it seems like. Um, Before we jump into everything, I gotta ask, are you a coffee person or tea person?
I'm a tea person.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming out to the Hawk Vision podcast. We have had a great show. No, I'm playing. I'm not, I'm not going to hate. You know how I feel about coffee. I just wanted people to see what they were getting, you know. That's all.
Man, I'm not a coffee person.
It's all right. We forgive you. You learning. You know,
But
you
I'm
got the new
coffee.
one. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been fun. Thank you.
Absolutely. So you know that I love all your posts, right? And before we jump into what you do and all that good stuff, I want to start with this one because it resonated in a profound manner. And I'm going to read it. You tell me the mindset behind it when you said it. Okay. You said, note to self, convincing myself that I deserve better is the first step to welcoming better things into my life. How did that one come about?
Whew. So everything, those notes to selves are really notes to myself. So man, I write those from passion, from emotion. Those posts are always related to something that I'm dealing with. So I recently, today actually on LinkedIn, I shared with my audience that I just got into therapy, right?
Okay.
And I got into therapy because I have like this superwoman thing going on where I feel like I have to do all the things, wear all the hats. And I know because I believe in mindset work. I believe in, making yourself better beforehand. And pretty much I have to convince myself on a daily basis that I can't do this by myself,
Yeah.
right? So if I want to get to the next level, I have to be willing to accept that I can't do all of this myself. To be better, I have to allow other people to help me be better.
Right.
So that's where that came from. It was basically me just convincing myself that, yo, you deserve more, but in order to get more, you got to allow other people to help you get to that point.
Yeah. I love that you allowed yourself to even believe that and let that seep in because as entrepreneurs, half entrepreneurs, whatever we call ourselves, right? There's always this, it's our baby, right? And we
Yes.
don't want nobody messing it up. We don't want nobody coming in with their thoughts and they don't know because it's not their baby. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so that's important. Is it hard to actually better? When did you realize that you had peaked out on what you could do by yourself? Like, I don't want to say what's the therapy trigger, but when did you realize you had peaked out so that you could
Man,
allow
trying to
help?
keep up with all this stuff, man. Trying to keep up with all the parts while being pregnant. Like you said, I just had a new baby. And when I was pregnant, as a woman going through that, you're just not yourself. Some days you're up and some days you're down. And for me at the top of the year, consistency was my goal, like just to be consistent everywhere that I wanted to be. But being pregnant, I'm just like, yeah, it's no way I could do this. Like, I have to give myself some grace, you know.
Yeah,
But at the same time, it's like, you know, just bouncing back from that and being like, hey, okay, you needed to sit down for a second, but it's time to get back in the game, you know.
absolutely. So let's jump in because you and I share a background. Would you call yourself outside of at your core? Would you say career coach? Would you say mentor to those trying to make their 9 to 5 pay them right? Like what would you call your title?
So I would call myself a career and empowerment strategist. That's what I started out the gate with. But because career coach is more, you know, streamlined across all the platforms, that's what I settled with on all the
Sure.
platforms.
Gotcha.
But as a career and empowerment strategist, it's basically just showing them the strategy. Like, yo, you can do this. If someone else did it, there's no reason why you can't do it. If I'm doing it, there's no reason why you can't do it. Like,
Yes.
if your audience doesn't know, like I work a 9 to 5 in accounting, you know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't have a background in recruiting or HR. I literally got it out the mud. Everything that I know is from me networking. It's from
Yes.
me reading books, going on blog posts, going to art, you know, reading articles, attending different, you know, events and stuff like that. Like everything that I do is strategy. Like if the goal is there, everything else has to align. So
Right.
that's just how I make it work. So when I'm coaching these individuals, I'm making sure they understand, like, yeah, I want you to win in your career, but I want you to understand that the groundwork that this requires, you can do this. And I want you to understand why you're doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and that's funny because that what I was gonna say just prior to that is I do have the corporate recruitment background, right? And so that's why I always love these conversations because it never ceases to amaze me how people will settle for the job that they're in for 10 to 15, 20 years. Like I don't get it. My mind's not built that way. To work as hard as you work for a 3% raise and never look for the next salary, the competing company, right? I don't understand how people do it. So without giving too much away, right? What's the biggest fear that you see in your clients that you work with? Because you help women all over the country. What's the biggest fear that you run into when they say, I'm happy with my job, but I want more? What do you run into?
Them not believing in themselves. It's like you know, we speak a lot about imposter syndrome, and
Yes.
right now it's become like this, you know, cliche term. Everyone's talking about it. You know, it's all over the place. But if you understand imposter syndrome, the at its core,
Yeah.
you'll understand that it's basically you just fearing that someone's going to find out that you're not as great as you actually appear to be, right?
Sure.
But most of these women have accomplished so much in their careers or are able to do, you know, their superior's job. They're able to carry on the team without, you know, without management and
Yes.
things like that. It's like, what are you afraid of being found out for it? Like you're already doing everything that says you are who you are. So imposter syndrome really is at the core of most of my clients, which is why we focus on branding and confidence and things like that, because it allows them to really see themselves for the professional that they are rather than the professional that they think they are.
Yes. And you know what's funny is we all had that career or that person that we know that is trained to manager, right? And
Mhm,
then
mhm.
and then still for some reason don't believe that we're qualified to be the manager. What's funny for me is that I've watched people be unhappy in their jobs but stay. And I understand the security side of it, right? But I guess it goes back to believing in yourself, but what's the breaking point when in your experience, what's the breaking point for people to say, you know what, this job, I can't do it no more. If I don't get more money or if I don't get a new manager or a new boss, I'm leaving.
Usually it's just seeing something, you know, we're always engaged in social media. So usually it's something that they've seen on social media that's just triggering a bunch of emotions all at once. You know, when something happens at work, say for instance, the boss getting on your nerve, or
Yes.
a coworker is driving you crazy, the first thing you're going to do is probably report to social media to talk about it, or comment, or
Yes.
find some type of, you know what I'm saying, find some type of relief from the situation. And what happens is most of us have curated these social media timelines that we have. So if you're constantly liking things that's like, oh, I'm gonna quit my 9 to 5 and do this, or I'm going to say for instance a post of mine like, I'm tired, I'm gonna go ahead and boss up and hustle, you know what I'm saying? Like, you see something like that, that's the trigger. It's all it takes is for the emotion to be there already, and then you see something that confirms that emotion.
Wow.
So that's how it usually goes. Like, every single client of mine, once they report to my inbox, girl, you speaking right to me, you reading my
Yes.
book, that type of thing. So it's literally that post, that one post that just sent them over the top.
Wow. Do you think that, I guess more so than men in my experience, but do you think that women give too much of themselves to their 9 to 5?
They do. They give too much of themselves in everything that they do.
Ooh.
And it's like, so with the 9 to 5, I would say, it's like they, like how entrepreneurs think of it as their baby, right? A lot
Yes.
of them are loyal to these jobs. They're loyal to these jobs because they feel like it's part of their identity, right? They
Mm,
feel like their title, it means something, and it does. Don't get me wrong, but it's not.
sure.
It's not really a part of your identity. It's just a part of what you're experiencing in life. So they have this loyalty, which most women do. They have this loyalty to this position, and they don't want to let the ball drop. They're afraid
Right.
to take off work because something might not get done. They're afraid to go to lunch for too long because they got to meet this deadline. We're always giving our all to the things that we want to succeed in, the things that we want to look good in. So a lot of them just, I call it toxic loyalty. A lot of them are
Ooh.
just way too loyal to their position.
Especially when they're the only Black woman in the room or the only Black man in the room.
Especially because you feel like you got to prove a point.
Yeah, and I think I was a bit of a unicorn for myself in my recruiting career. It was one of those things where I knew what I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
and the ways that the people were telling me to do it never ever worked. But I'm a fan of giving you what you asked for, right? So this is what got me in trouble in corporate America, which still will get me in trouble in corporate America. I'm gonna give you everything you asked for, step by step. I'm gonna be the king of the see below email, right? The screenshot and all that. And then when it doesn't work, so I'm gonna say, this is what y'all told me to do though. And then I'm gonna go do it my way, right? And so I think that we would do ourselves a better service if we allowed our personalities, right, to work in the 9 to 5 setting. Um, I would be remiss if we did this episode without talking about formatting resumes, because that's something that you've helped with. And oh my God, as a recruiter, you see, I want to pull. If I had dreads, I would pull them out. I swear to God, I would. But if I had dreads, I would pull them out because people come up with these exuberant displays for their resume, right? But they don't transition format wise into the applicant tracking system. Can you talk about the resume that you've seen and why you format them a certain way?
So a lot of people, we're visual people, most of us. We like
Yes.
the pretty stuff. We like things to look great, before we give it to someone else. We want to look
Yes.
best. But the problem with those pretty resumes is, like you said, they don't translate well into the ATS system. It's bulky. There's information that doesn't, get captured. There's
Right.
all these different things that go on, that just like it just pretty much prevents the recruiter from seeing your full picture. So what I do is I explain to my clients that, this is going to be a very basic document. Okay. It's going to look basic to you because I know you've seen all these pretty, flowery resume formats
Yes.
online, but this is going to be a really basic document. We're going to have it, from the top to the bottom is just going to be plain text. It's
Yeah.
going to be formatted nice, where we're just, making sure we have bullet points, we're indenting where we need to, we have the margins
Spell
right.
check.
Right, grammar check,
Oh my God,
we're
yeah.
gonna do all of those things, but it's gonna be a very plain document because what we needed to do its job, and its job is to give the recruiter what they're looking for. So all that flowery stuff, hey, if you want that, I could give you that on the back end, but what you're going to do with that is present that to a person in hand.
Right,
So if
for
you're
the
sending
interview.
something like that, in an email, that's completely fine. But when you're submitting things in an application online, you want to give a plain text resume because you don't want yourself to get chopped and screwed, so to speak.
Kicked
Okay.
out. Yes,
Right.
yes.
The
Automatically
ATS
declined.
system. Yeah.
I used to tell people that your resume was like your online dating profile picture, right? So you don't put the resume has to be tight, right? It's not the picture of you going to get ice cream at 3 a.m. It's the picture of you suited up, going out with your boys, or you got the dress on, going out with your girls, and because that's what the recruiter clicks on, and then the interview part is just you validating that they made the right choice, right? And so how do you prepare people for the interview process? Do you find that you have to spend more time on the belief systems again?
Yes. Yes. First is the first is
I
the
see the
strategy.
excitement. She's like, oh my God.
This is my favorite service. My favorite service to give is actually the interview prep, because that's where all the work gets done, to be honest, because that's where you're presenting yourself.
Yeah.
So we go through all of the strategy first. And I do this meticulously because it works. So we go through the strategy first, and basically I'm prepping them on questions that they would likely get asked in an interview for the position that they're looking for.
Yes.
And once we do that, then we go back. I record our conversations and everything, and I present them to them, right?
Wow.
So I want you to see for yourself what I saw across the table. And they get to review that. We discuss that, and then we go into the mindset stuff, because then they get to see what's stopping them. A lot of times it's a bunch of jargon, like they're just talking on and on and on, and it's like, uh yeah, no, you lost me a long time ago,
Right.
but you're such a great employee, such a great professional, that all I need you to do is be clear and concise. That's every single one of my clients. If they've had interview coaching with me, they're going to tell you in their head at the interviews, they hear clear and concise. Like,
I love it. I love it.
I need you to be clear and concise.
Oh my God. There used to be so many um, thought processes around the preparation for interviews. And one of the worst ones, and we'll jump into some other stuff in a second, but one of the worst ones was you have to mirror the person that's interviewing you.
No.
Worst advice I have ever heard in all my years of being a professional. I don't want to talk to myself in an interview, right? And neither does the person that's interviewed. Like, they want a personality. They want somebody that can, come in, do the job, that they don't necessarily have to spend a lot of time training. And you have to understand that, because they want to keep the ball rolling, right? So it's not necessarily about you being able to do the job or not, but they don't want to interview themselves. What's the worst advice you've heard coming from, you get a new client, they say, well, such and such told me to do blank? What's the one that you hate the most?
I think it's going to be the practicing forever. Like, these people really think they should practice. And this is why they have the mouthful of words, because they've been practicing the same questions every single day without evaluating what they're doing, without measuring, like, does this really work? Like, they don't have a realistic system in practicing. So practice
Wow.
every day, or practice, it's the over practicing for me. That's what it is. You're over practicing, because in reality, if you got to do that much practicing, that means you're probably lying somewhere. Like,
Right, right. So you are not ready.
I need you to bring yourself to the interview, not this person you've made up in your mind that they want to hire. So that's what I feel like over practicing does. It gives you that opportunity to develop someone who you think they will hire rather than yourself. So it's the over practicing.
I love it. It's the over practicing for me. When you
Mhm.
when you realized that you were helping people boss up, get better jobs, negotiate higher salaries, what was the process of turning those skills into a business for yourself?
Woo. So So I'm glad you asked that, because it gets hard for me to translate this into my story now, because I've since moved on. But I started just being a small community activist in Chicago.
Mm,
And I was in the streets doing different events for the youth. I had all these different Black history programs going on. I was like in the streets. Okay. So
love it.
I got pregnant with my first son, and I'm like, okay, the streets of Chicago ain't safe for somebody that's pregnant. So I gotta draw back and figure out what I could do in turn to still give back. And
Gotcha.
also, I was presented with being a single mom. So, and also create another stream of income for myself. So
Got it.
when I first started out, my services were super dirt cheap because I wanted to just get my name out there. I wanted to really just allow people to see that I was capable of doing the work.
Yeah.
And it went from there. Like I was writing resumes for my friends and my family, and they were getting jobs and coming back. Like I don't know how long you've been following me, but there's this post I made. And I was like, and I said it with all the pride in my chest. Like I was beating my chest when I made this post. Like,
Yeah.
who else could turn $50 into 15,000? And when I look
Let's
back at that
go.
post, I hate it so much because I literally was downplaying my own skill. I'm like, yo, the ROI of $50. Come on now. Like I
Oh
was really
man.
beating my chest about that, but that's when I realized it was in that moment when I made that post and I looked at it a week later. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
the dumbest stuff I've ever
I
being,
love it. I
being
love it.
fully transparent. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever posted. Like, I don't know. We got to go back to the drawing board and reevaluate what's going on here.
Oh
So
my God. I love
after
it.
that, man, it went from petty business to let's move into a real business, you know?
Yeah. No, that's huge though. I think one, it helped to build belief, but then more importantly, you realize that, you could be charging a lot more. And I'm a fan of, between 3 and 5% of what your new annual salary is. Like
Mhm.
that's when I attempted to run that business, and I realized that I was too nice to do it. Like the recruiter side of me, I love that moment where they'd be like, "Oh my God, I got the job," and so their whole lives changed. So I said I can't do this because I'm gonna get high on my own supply, right? Like I can't do it. But I have seen very successful businesses like yours, and it's like 3 to 5% of what the new salary is.
Yeah.
Obviously with the down payment and the retainer, because we don't trust everybody. I believe everybody. I believe in everybody, but I don't believe everybody,
Mhm.
right? And that's two different things. Um, Talk to me about the internal validation and the hurdle that presents for job seekers, just a little bit deeper, because I think coming out of COVID, right, people are realizing, one, that they could do their job from home. Well, bosses, managers, I'll say, are realizing that people can do their jobs from home. But now people are also realizing that they can make way more money, right, because they have more time in the day. So what's the validation process of I am worth more money?
So I always tell people just revisit what they've been doing. So it's so easy to get caught up in the fact that you are a champion at what you do. You know how to do it in your sleep. You know how to do it while you eat. You just know what you're doing, and you think that it's little, it's something small. You know what I'm saying? Like if you do
Yeah.
something over and over and it's redundant, you just feel like this is just something that comes to you easy. It probably come to someone else easy as well.
Right.
So my first thing in helping people validate their experiences is allowing them to know, like, hey, you're a great organizer, I'm not. Like it's those little things that people tend to downplay. Like I had a client in the past, she was in customer service. She literally said to me, like, these were her words and it broke my heart. Like she said to me, I feel dumb at this point because I've been doing this job for so long and I'm
Yeah.
just answering phones. I'm just doing this. And I'm like, just do, girl, do you know, I cannot sit on the phone all day trying to make people feel good about their situation. I can't do it. Okay.
Right. Right.
I,
That's why
I
I know
can't.
Clubhouse. But
Man, I learned the hard way. I tried to be on Clubhouse. I had to get out. I had to get out. But
I
yeah,
can't do it.
yeah, I'm like, that doesn't come easy to a lot of people.
Right.
And what I used for her, like you said, with the pandemic, we've been presented with different challenges. with the pandemic, customer service is at an all-time low. People are not talking to people the way that they should. We're not
Right.
communicating the way that we should. So the fact that you're able to do that and do it well, to the point where you've gotten promotions, to the point where you're training people, to the point where you've been on the job for as long as you have, what does that say to you? You know, you literally have to hold up a mirror to them so that they can see what you see. It's hard, you know, when you're speaking of yourself and like I said, you're doing something on a daily basis. You just feel like it's normal. It's just something easy to do. But hold that mirror up to them and boom, they're like, oh, well, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, and customer service is a lost art. You know, there's a reason that companies have like Nordstrom and Starbucks as the model, right, of where you should get customer service agents from, because being able to not take it personally is huge. Like that is huge, because I know when I call anywhere, 9 times out of 10 is because, you know, we never call to say thank you, right? We call because there's an issue. Exactly. Yeah. And so I think that people that have customer service related positions, and as well as sales related positions, need to definitely, you know, hold that mirror up, like you said. I think it's important. What have you learned about running a business, Michelle, that you've used in your personal life, and vice versa, in your personal life that you use to run a business?
And you heard me just say I'm not that great at organizing. Organization and just being proactive is that's probably the most important lesson that I've gotten along the way. And it really only set in once I got pregnant. Like I knew this stuff ahead of time, you know.
Right.
But it wasn't until I got pregnant where I was like, you know, limited to what I could do, where I really recognized like, yo, as a business owner, it's more than, you know, going in, answering these emails, doing the service and this, that, and the other. You have to be on top of everything. Yeah. So I've learned, you know, just like I said, not depending on myself all the time, outsourcing some stuff, making sure that I'm utilizing all of the tools that I have available to me as best as I can, because that allows me to show up better as well, allows me to schedule things, to organize, you know, what I need to see on a daily basis. So it's really just organization just spilled over from there to the home life, because I got two kids and a bonus baby, and it gets messy over there, you know. It gets really messy.
Oh man, that's huge. Like two and a bonus baby. A bonus baby. That's funny. That threw me totally off. And I think it's funny because I think, you know, we always hear once you have the two, everybody's always says they're done, and then that third one, regardless if it was planned or not, that third baby is always like, all right, I love them, but I got to do this again.
I was one and done, Chuck. One and done. And my boyfriend has one, so we were both one and done. And then boom, here comes new life.
How you flunked the one and done twice? Let me tell you. I said you flunked the one and done twice. Like, how did you?
I flunked it once, Chuck. He already had his kid.
Okay.
He already had his kid.
I got you.
You know, we are blended family and everything, you know, so we was just on, you know, that's two, you know.
It was gonna be good. Yeah. Listen, them Chicago winters will do something to you, so I ain't gonna blame you. I ain't gonna blame you. And it was quarantine.
Plus the quarantine. I was calling this baby the pandemic baby. This is little pandemonium in there, you know.
I love it. How does it feel to get your client feedback? I mean, after having a dream, right, and working with someone that trusted you enough to help, paid you, and now they're getting results. When you get client feedback, what does that feel like?
Man, just saying that, just it's the warm and fuzzies all the time. Like I literally just got an email an hour ago from one of my interview prep clients. Like I said, it's my favorite service.
Yes.
And it's because it's a really transformational service. So when you're taking someone from going to interviews and not receiving a single call back to, I got called for a third round. I got called for this position, you know, to interview for a second time. I got called, like, to go from zero to all these, man, it's the best feeling ever. And it's what keeps me going. Like that particular client, his coaching session, an hour or two later, I was
Yeah.
in full-blown labor with my son.
Oh
Like,
my
that's
God.
how dedicated I am to this stuff because of what happens for the people. Like,
Right.
they become somebody other than, it's a different person than what I met when they came into, my circle.
Right.
So it's like to see them just fully flourish and be out there doing their thing. It's beautiful. It's an amazing feeling. And that's what keeps me motivated to keep doing my 9 to 5, to keep doing the mommy and the gig. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what keeps
Yes.
me going because it's beautiful. It's a beautiful process.
So there's resume building, there's interview prep, but for myself, there's this hidden part of the job search, and that's networking. Talk to me about how you advise your clients on, if they're good at it, expanding their network, and then for the people that like to hide behind their resume, how they can start to network into the jobs that they want and or deserve.
Yeah, so this is gonna be a real, this is hot right now. This is hot. I want you to listen real close. So Toby Nwigwe, you know who that is?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Toby Nwigwe, I met him in 2019.
Okay.
And I was able to have dinner with this dude, sat right next to him. He was
Wow.
fully engaged, like one of the most beautiful, humblest people walking around in the music industry, right?
Absolutely. For those who don't know, that's the try Jesus,
Try
not
Jesus,
me,
don't try me,
because I fight.
because I fight. When I met him, no one knew him. I was taking pictures and no one knew who this man was, right?
Right,
I
right.
asked him, one of the reasons why I fell in love with his music and what he was doing is because he was so consistent. No matter what was
Mm,
going on around him, he was so consistent. I asked him one thing: how did you have this come about?
okay.
How did you jump into being this consistent? He's like, it doesn't happen overnight. He's like, you got to kill your ego and you got to do something every single day that's going to get you a step closer to where you're trying to go. So when I talk to my clients, the first thing I'm saying is kill your ego,
Mm,
because we get embarrassed easily. And that's usually why people don't show up. And, I'm going to go ahead and say it on LinkedIn. They don't know what to say. They're scared to say
yes.
something. They're intimidated by all of this different talent that's around them. But if you kill your ego on the regular, who's going to embarrass you? Who are you feeling
Right.
bad? You know what I'm saying? So just learning how to be yourself and show up for yourself is going to get you closer to having that full-blown network that you want. So if you can, I always say the first step is just to introduce yourself.
Mm,
Just introduce yourself. If you can get past introducing yourself, the rest is easy breezy. So I always say they need to know your name. If they don't know you or what you do, then they can't help you.
right.
They
Right.
can't help you. So if you could just introduce yourself, hey, I'm blah, 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 blah. This is what I do. If you have any opportunities that you think would be great for me, please feel free to reach out. I would do vice versa.
Right.
It's as simple as that.
And see, that's where the Ryan Coxes of the world, come into play, because he's the king of, let me buy you a coffee, right? And then, get that conversation going. I think it's interesting that you brought Toby Nwigwe into the conversation, because now we're back on that 6 degrees of separation thing, because I've been watching him as well, and he's part of that Eric Thomas circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the
Mm-hmm.
Secrets to Success podcast, and the 9 to 5 Millionaire and all that group. And so I can tell that he has been able to expand a network, because that's not something you break into lightly, right? That
Yeah.
group is rarefied air.
Yeah. Yeah. And he talked about that as well. Like, he couldn't show up with those guys without feeling like crap if he didn't give his all. So
Yeah.
you want to make sure you're surrounding yourself with people like that. Like, and I had to realize that as well. If you have a circle of people who are constantly executing and you're just sitting down, not doing anything,
Whew. Yeah, let's
you're
go.
not gonna feel good. You're not gonna feel good.
Ever.
You either gonna drop off from the circle or you're gonna show up.
Absolutely. And it's funny, my mentor, Edwin Haynes, who was on the show as well, he talked about how he's in network marketing, but I mean, you can't be in network marketing in the country without hearing that name at some point. But he talked about how you're at a certain level trying to get there to another level, but you have this circle that you used to be in right, still pulling you back down. And so there's this constant tug of war about, can you be consistent, right?
Mhm.
And how consistent can you be towards the dream that you say you want, or are you lying to yourself about what you really want? And I think that that's absolutely huge. How does Michelle balance content creation with product creation? What does the calendar look like with being a new mommy? Help the people.
It's a lot of, early mornings, a lot of kid, sitting on the lap and the laptop is on the other side, it's a lot
Yes,
of that.
yes.
But it's really just carving out the time where I can. Like I said, being organized really helps me because it allows me to see what my day looks like. So if I have, a 10-minute pocket of time, that's I can make a big chunk of, a lot to get done in 10 minutes. Like,
Yes.
I can make a lot happen in 10 minutes. So if I got a pocket of 10 minutes, I'm gonna use it. If he's sleeping, boom, 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 boom. I'm on the laptop trying to
Right.
turn something out. So content creation is really just me making sure that I'm conveying whatever emotion. Because like I said, a lot of my clientele, they resonate with what I talk about because what I talk about is what I went through in the past. It's what I had to get over to get to where I am now.
Right.
So I have to revisit those emotions. When I'm able to revisit those emotions, that's when I'm turning out the content because that's when I'm getting the connection.
I love it. I love it. And, I think it's important to catch it while it's hot too. Like one of the things that I'll be laying in the bed with the wife watching a movie, and I'm one of those people that can find inspiration anywhere. So I get a movie line, I'll be like, "That was hot," and I'm running over to the phone, like, "All right, real quick, babe, hold on," da, 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 and I'm typing it out, and then I'll use it later. So I think it's important to capture the feeling or the sentiment, whatever it is, in the moment. Like not while you're driving, but
Yeah,
we want everybody to drive safely.
right.
Um, in your experience, you touched on it earlier, but in your experience, how influential can LinkedIn be to getting the job that you want versus just randomly applying, especially like once you have the profile set up, like should they stay engaged like almost Instagram style, or how influential can LinkedIn be?
Ooh, this is a heavy question, and I'm glad you presented it to me because look, I'm just finding, and this is me as, like I said, I'm always transparent. This is
Yes.
me as a career coach and as a 9 to 5er. I had my LinkedIn set up where it was just pretty to look at. Like I get on there, like a few posts, and I'm
Right.
out because it's not my favorite platform,
Right.
but
Right.
I have to be there. I'm a career coach. What I found out in the past few months is that LinkedIn is probably the most powerful place you can be as a professional, as a
Yes.
business owner as well. If you can figure out how to really, like I said, get over that hump of being intimidated and just showing up there as yourself, you would be surprised how many people will just come and join your community, how many like
Mm.
minds you will get in your circle. And what happens is, we all know that line. It takes, if whoever knows this person, you
Yeah, can
you know
introduce
what I'm
you.
saying? They're
Hmm.
gonna connect you to the source. It's always a little degrees of separation, a couple of degrees of separation that
Yes.
gets you into the door. And it's crazy because LinkedIn has it set up where there's first, second, and third degree connections. And when you're looking for certain recruiters, when you're looking for certain people who you can't reach in these organizations, all
Yes.
it takes is for you to do a couple of clicks and a couple of points of research, and you could find someone who could connect the dots for you. So with just that, considering just that, that allows you to see the power of LinkedIn. The people that you need to know are likely there, and
Wow.
they're willing to help. The platform is literally to help you network. So everyone is there with in mind, I'm going to network, I'm going to help someone, I'm going to get help.
Yeah. Yeah.
So having your profile fully optimized where there's keywords that, if I search you, Chuck, Hawk Vision, you
Yeah.
pop right up. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to have it where whatever you want to be found for is in your profile. So currently, I always get searched out for accounting positions because I still have to have my 9 to 5 stuff there, right?
Absolutely.
And I always make this joke like, I'm not trying to do anything with accounting, to be honest. This job is literally paying for my passion. So
Yes.
what I'm doing is, while it's optimized for my accounting profession, it's also optimized for me as a career coach. So if you type in career coach, you're also going to find me.
I
So
love it.
that's the beauty of having your page set up for you to, get ahead in the job search game. Like, just make sure your profile is optimized.
So the hardest part about the job search and the career coaching, in my experience, again, just from the recruiter side, the hardest part is the people that want to switch careers, right?
Mhm.
And so it's and not necessarily like your case where you go, accounting, but you're helping other people with their careers. I'm talking like, I've been a school teacher and now I want to get into HR, right? And or I want to get into accounting. And how do you help people understand that that's a process and that it's not just, getting the job because you're not qualified for it or whatever the case is, but you may have to take a step or two down on the line and work backwards into the job that you want versus, I just want to go from truck driver to CEO, I think, how do you help with that part?
just just helping them see the basis of that story. So basically, you're telling me you want to go from something that you're trusted, you've already been trusted and verified for, into something that you're going to be a rookie at.
Mm.
So how do you get people to see past you being a rookie? Simple as that. So you don't go from rookie to all-star in the same year. It just does not happen.
Right,
So what
right.
you're going to do is build up to that. You're going to, like I said, attend those networking events, connect to the right people. You're going to do your research. It's basically what I had to do. It's
Yes.
what I had to do. You have to start from the bottom and accept that you have to start from the bottom instead of thinking that things are just going to fall in your lap. You have to work for it. So that's what I teach them. If you're not working for it, it's not going to happen.
Mm. Mm. And you know what I think is also about managing expectations too, right?
Yeah.
Because we have this society online where they'll tell you, which I don't agree with, they'll tell you to quit your 9 to 5 and chase the dream. And I understand the sentiment behind that, right? Which is be all in, be committed, burn the bridge, all that good stuff. But everybody's situation is different. I never will advise anyone to quit their 9 to 5. But sometimes I advise against switching careers, right? I think it's hard to go, like I said, it's hard to go from being a school teacher. Shout out to school teachers. It was just a teacher appreciation week.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard to go from that to wanting to be a project manager because you have to understand how to make those skills transferable on the
Transfer.
resume.
Yep.
Yeah. And so if you're not able if you don't have someone like yourself in your corner where they can, bounce those ideas and understand how to articulate that, you're just, shooting bullets up against, a
Took
metal
the
wall. They
words
go
right out
bounce
of my
back.
mouth. Yeah, you
Yeah.
took the words right out of my mouth. Like, you have to have someone in your corner that's going to fully support you in that. And also, like you said, evaluate your situation. Like I said, it takes time. So if you have that time, okay. But if you know you can't fully dedicate yourself to building yourself up to, hey, you should look at me, then don't even pursue it. Don't
Yeah.
even pursue it. Like, it really does take for a professional eye to get you headed in the right direction, because like you said, managing those expectations, and even myself in general, like, I approached business with expectations. Okay, I'm pushing the content. I'm
Yeah.
expecting people to just fall into my lap, and it doesn't work that way. Like, it took a whole
Yes.
year for me to learn that. Like, okay, you're gonna put this stuff out there, but everyone isn't seeing it. So
Right.
what are
Where are
you
my
gonna do?
people?
Right. What are you gonna do? So you have to be able to bridge the gap there. And if you're not willing to do that, it's not something you should pursue.
I love it. And I think it's hard for people to understand that, that last part, it may not be something that you need to pursue, right?
Mm-hmm.
It may be something that you just need to tighten up, same job somewhere else, better environment, closer to home, something like that, more flexibility. And I think those are hard conversations that a lot of job seekers don't want to have.
That's why I tell people, don't employ me if you don't want the truth, because I'm gonna give you the truth. I'm not the one to sugarcoat anything. Like, I've done too much. You know what I'm saying? Coming from, accounting into this career coaching field,
Yes.
it's too much. I've done too much work for me to try to give it to you as if it's easy, because it's not.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why you are the habitual toe stepper. And I like it. I
Yeah,
like it.
the best thing I can do is tell you to just be aligned and be strategic. Like that's what I preach, because alignment and strategy is going to get you where you need to go much quicker than you thinking. Like I said, those people are just going to fall at your feet and be like, I need you on my team.
Yeah, I well, Jesus, there's so many ways this conversation could go right now. Like I'm trying to contain the incitement because we're about to, wrap up. But let me ask you this: who was the coach or the mentor for BBJ? Who was the person that helped you kind of
Ooh,
get everything into alignment?
let me tell you, Toby Nwigwe, man. Like when I tell you I consumed this man music, I have a playlist on Apple Music, the
Okay.
Boss Up and Hustle playlist. If you listen to that playlist, probably 50-60% of it is Toby.
Wow.
His music really gave me everything I needed to pursue what I was doing, like with my whole heart. So going from, let me do this resume, let me do 2 resumes this week and maybe, 2 next week, and I was satisfied with that.
Yes.
What type of impact does that make? Like, what am I really doing by doing 2
Mm.
resumes a week, So it took for me to hear him, like to see him go from, because if you look and search out some of his older videos, his older music, he was trash. He was trash. And I go on record saying that because I said
Right.
it to him in that conversation we had. To go from that to being what he is now,
Yeah.
man, it was prolific. The music was, man, I don't even
The early mixtapes were not fire. They were not,
know.
but he
They
kept
were not.
handing
He
them
was a
out.
totally different person.
Yeah, yeah. But he
He's a
kept
totally
that.
different person.
I love it. I love it.
Yep.
Sometimes you got to tell people, man, listen, the mixtape ain't it. This ain't it. We got to go back to the lab.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I have so many virtual mentors, man, so many, and he's the biggest one. He's the biggest one. Whenever I got some type of challenge going on, I just pop on my headphones and I'm back at it.
I love it. I love. Did it take long for you to realize where you were finding your motivation from? Like some people will, they'll read books. Some
Oh,
people will watch TV shows. Nope, you knew what it was off top.
I'm a music fanatic. So
Okay.
a lot of the time when things are like going left, I look in the mirror and I tell my clients this, the show Insecure with Issa Rae,
Yes.
how she talks in the mirror, raps in the mirror at herself. That is me. I'm the person who's going to tell you to do that. I'll look in the mirror, tell myself something, pop in some music. I'm a totally different person.
Wow. Wow. I love it. I wish more people would be able to identify their source of energy, right?
Mm.
One being able to recognize when it's off, but two being able to recognize what helps them get it back quickly. Like for myself,
Ooh.
stand-up comedy, right? I watch old stand-up comedy, Cat Williams, Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, people you ain't never heard of. Joe Coy is hilarious to me. I watch comedy, but I like to drive. Like for me, now I hate driving in traffic because in California, just like Chicago, we got freeways that don't nobody want to be on. But my thing is saying driving in music. If I can't do comedy, driving in music, I'll get lost in it and be ready to move, right after that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's motivational for real.
So rapid fire round, we getting ready to wrap up. I'm gonna give you some words. You tell me what they mean to you, okay? First
Okay.
word is belief. What does belief mean to BBJ?
It's your system. What's your system? That's the answer to that.
What does consistency mean?
Ooh, showing up. What does showing up at your best look like for you?
Value.
And I say for you because it's subjective.
Ooh, I like that add on.
Value. How are you making people better? How are you making people better? How are you making what you're touching better than what it was before you came to it?
Balance.
Ain't no such thing. is what do you want again? What do you want something to look like? What does that look like for you? Because balance for me might not be the same for you. So you identify what balance looks like for you and pursue it.
So I want to put a pin in that one because again, a lot of your audience is female. A lot of your clients are female. I think about 64% of my listeners are. And balance is one of the areas that they get scared at, one of the areas they get frozen at because they feel like they don't want to sacrifice this for the potential of this when they already know, I already know what I have here. I know what I have here. And if I sacrifice this relationship, if I sacrifice this time, or if I sacrifice this time with the baby, everything goes to hell, right? But the potential gain, sometimes they don't see that as enough value in the potential gain to do the sacrifice. So how do you talk through balance for your clients?
So I'm gonna plug one of my other inspirations. She
Okay.
has a podcast, the Courtney Sanders Show.
Okay.
Courtney is the woman who lets you know she believes she could do all the things, right? She believes she could be a mom. She believes she could do the entrepreneurship, the wife, all of that. But she does it to her own, it's her own agenda. It's not what anyone else is pushing out. So I think as a woman, we are pursuing entrepreneurship from a masculine place. Like most men push the quit your 9 to 5, work till you can't work no more. And we're
Yes.
not designed to do that,
If you ain't died twice,
So,
you don't want it.
man, we're not designed to do that. We're more
Yes.
so strategic beings by nature.
Okay.
So, with that in mind, I feel as though it's important for women to understand that you being able to map out what it is you want and being able to see that, like if you can see it, I always say if you can see it, it's for you. You're not going to be given a vision that you cannot get. Okay. So if you're able to map that stuff out, map out everything, your professional, the entrepreneurship, if that's what you want, your home life, map that out and identify what's most important to you. And that way you never feel like you're showing up less or more in any environment that you don't want to be in. For me, my family is super important. So
Yes.
I'm balancing reading books in the morning before school and before work and all of that, and coming, at night, tucking people in and speaking affirmations over people because that's important to me. So
Yes.
identify what's important to you and pursue that. Stop listening to all the noise around you about what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah. And that before that leads me into my last word. Mark Coley, who was on the show, came in. He said, Chuck, sometimes I have to put my phone in the other room just so I can stay focused and productive on what success looks like for me, so that I don't even look at what everybody else has going on. I have to, structure myself, and my phone is now my reward, right? So if I do everything I say I'm going to do, then I can go get the phone and scroll and feel good and all that stuff. So I thought that was hype. But you talked about it, and it leads perfectly to the last word, which was vision. What does the word vision mean from Michelle Matthews?
Vision is just, that's my pipeline. That's my life source. If I have the vision, if I'm working toward my vision, that's literally why I'm living. So like I just said, the importance of mapping it all out. That map is no good if you don't have a vision. Like if you're not true to your vision, if you're not doing what aligns with that, there's no point. Everyone lives to serve a purpose. Vision is your purpose.
I love it. I love it. Last question that I have for you, kind of circling back to the quarantine thing and all that. What do you think is going to change in the market for job seekers and for the 9 to 5? What do you think is the most pertinent change that they're going to see moving forward?
So there's going to be a lot of remote positions. There's going to be a lot of automation. And I really, really see resumes. Don't quote me on this, but quote me on it. Okay.
Okay.
I really see resumes having a different role come in the upcoming years because, like I said earlier, LinkedIn, because we've gotten into this virtual world, LinkedIn is where all of these HR people are going to sift for their
Yes.
employees, sift for the people who they're going to recruit. So with that in mind, I really feel like that paper resume that you're spending so much time thinking about is going to become obsolete because your LinkedIn is going to become your one and done. So the remote positions and that automation is going to really require people to get really clear on what it is they want their brand to be. how to champion that and how to make it translate into the environment we're in now, because a lot of people aren't flexible with
Yeah.
all of the stuff that's happening right now. That is going to work against you. That's going to
Mm.
work against you. So the future is AI. It's AI.
Yeah. Wow. Is it too late to jump on LinkedIn for people that don't have it active already developed and built out? Do you think it's too late for them?
No, it's never too late to jump on LinkedIn. It's never too late. Oh my God. I think if you were to pop open a computer today and just start connecting with the people that you already know, you'll see a difference in your job search. So
Mm.
no, it's never too late. Just start. The best thing to do is just start.
Yeah, I saw you were almost like trying to hold it in with that question, like, boy, are you crazy? Ain't no you gotta jump on ASAP.
It's crazy because I hated LinkedIn, man. I used to hate it, but
Yes.
now you
Listen, I
gotta
tell
love it.
everybody
You gotta love it for what
there's
it
so much money to be made on LinkedIn that I think people get caught up in Instagram and Facebook. LinkedIn is the bag. Like LinkedIn is the bag. And I think that
is.
too
I
many
agree
people
with you
do not
100%.
understand it. Yeah, and I used to hate it myself. Like years ago, I think it might have been '09 or 2010 when I, started really rocking with it. Of course, I took some years off, but I am so glad that I was I guess now I'd be considered an early adopter to it for professional, but is I don't think people understand that you can literally expand your annual income by tens of thousands of dollars by being on LinkedIn.
Man, it's amazing. And it's like it's something that we work so hard to do, network organically. That's what that's another term that's flying around, networking organically.
Yes.
LinkedIn is the place to network organically. You literally have millions of users on that platform that's, like I said, there for a common reason, to network, to learn, to help. That's why the bag is there, because the point of the platform is clear.
Yeah. And I think that's the most important part. They've done a really good job of keeping the main thing the main thing. Like there's no joking around for the most part on LinkedIn. You may run into a couple of political posts or whatever the case is, but they've done a really good job of keeping the main thing. And that is professional networks, whether it's entrepreneurship or not, but professional networks of people that want to do the same thing. And I think that's probably one of their best assets is that they've been able to keep it focused.
And you pay to play on LinkedIn too. Don't forget that part. So
Absolutely. You get what you pay
most
for.
people, yeah, a lot of people pay to play there.
So what's next as we wrap up? What's next for Coach Mimi?
What's next for me is what I'm telling y'all to do. Build up that LinkedIn network. Oh my God, please build it up. If you are listening, please come follow me, come connect with me over on LinkedIn. I'm Michelle Matthews. That is my focal point as of right now. At the top of the year, it was community building. And what I've realized is that LinkedIn is the easiest way to build a community of people that I want to work with. So LinkedIn, that's my next move. I'm about to move in and live on LinkedIn.
I love it. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been rocking with the great one, Michelle Matthews on the Hawk Vision podcast. Listen, we're here to help you shorten the learning curve on your way to greatness. I cannot stress enough, like, share, subscribe across all of your platforms. You don't want to be the only visionary, that's benefiting from this, because if you don't grow the network dies, and that's going to cost you the bag. So that being said, guys, great episode again. Michelle, thank you so much for spending some time with us this afternoon. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thanks for being a great host.
Oh, thank you. Absolutely. We try, as long as the coffee kicked in, as long as the coffee is kicked in. Guys, we'll either see you at the top or from the top. And remember, no miracle ever happens without somebody doing something. It's the Hawk Vision Podcast. We'll see you.